Welcome back to the B.A.M. Media Sports Podcast, where we bring you guys some of the hottest takes, some of the most authentic sports talk, and some of the most authentic, I would say, just genuine conversation, man, that you guys are going to love to listen to and hear from us, man. But I am your co-host. My name is Brandon Lockhart. Now, let me introduce to you guys my partner, my brother. He's not only a former D1 athlete, he's now also a high school football coach. He has now been coaching for the past 8 years in high school football in the state of Alabama. Once he's been a captain at the University of South Alabama, but also at Opelika High School, his alma mater as well. I am happy to introduce the sports guru himself, my brother, Mr. Malcolm Buggs.
What's good, B.A.M. family? Glad to have you all joining us here on the B.A.M. Sports Media Podcast, and we just ask that we keep it full of fluent energy. We're going to keep this thing very genuine, very lit, and glad to have you all back joining us for season 2. BJ, take it away. Let's start with it.
Hey, let's get straight into it, man. So these are the hot topics we got for you guys today. The first topics we're going to talk about today is this Alabama spring football 8A game. Now, for the ones who don't know, I'm a big Bama fan. I'm a big Bama fan. I will say, for me, man, a lot of my takes may be a little biased, but y'all don't even take heed to that. Just understand that I'm a Bama fan, so I'm always represent Bama. I always take up for Bama. My brother here on the other side, he's the coach. He's the guru. So he's going to give y'all the X's and O's. He's going to give y'all the film talk. He's going to be able to break some things down that BJ might not technically can break down. But that's the beauty of our show. So let's get straight into it, man. The spring 8A football game, and obviously we're going to hit on again some of the big news or highlights from other spring football games around the country. Georgia just had their football spring game, I want to say, this past Saturday. Auburn had theirs this past Saturday. So hey, if we got some some quick gems, some quick nuggets, we'll also throw those in there too. But Bugs, first thing we're going to talk about today, man, for that spring game is QB battle.
Of course, that is what everybody wants to talk about. Obviously, the media is very, very intrigued to see which quarterback that the University of Alabama will select this fall. Just from some things that I've seen, I actually attended the coaching clinic at the University of Alabama and the University of Georgia this past year, this spring season and session. And one thing that I think about the University of Alabama is so unique is that both of those quarterbacks are actually quarterbacks that can start. Both of those quarterbacks are quarterbacks that they believe in, that can truly run their system, be a leader of the football team, but also take them to new heights, hopefully. Me personally, looking at both guys, they are different. You can see the differences. Austin Mack, his differences stand out more. He's been in the system a little longer. So true. I think that he should have a leg up when it comes to understanding the nuances, the checks, all the different personnel groupings that Ryan Grubb's offense features. He's also a little bit taller. He's about 6'5", listed at 6'5".
6'5", 6'6", somewhere.
Yeah, but he looks about 6'6", 6'7". I seen him personally, and I thought, hey, that had to be a mistake. It had to be a typo on the scheduling list, on roster schedule. But Keelon Russell, everybody knows Keelon Russell from a standpoint of 5-star quarterback coming in. If you go look at the top recruits in Alabama football history, Keelon Russell is listed at number 9 all time. So with that being said, his resume does speak for itself as well. When we talk about his high school career, he played with another number 1 overall player in Decorian Moore in Texas. Threw a lot of touchdowns, definitely had great yardage, great poise in the pocket. But he's also hitting his stride when it comes to his second year at the University of Alabama in the Ryan Grubb system. So I think it's definitely going to be something that they play all the way by ear going into fall. Yeah. But if you look at the spring game, everybody would probably clear-cut say they think Keelon Russell's probably going to be the starter. What you think?
Hey, man, that boy 12 something else. I ain't going to lie to you. Me being a Bama fan, though, I always go back to other quarterback battles.
Correct.
So I look at the time where we had Tua we had Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
We had Mac Jones.
Correct.
You look at the time when we had Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Who was behind Bryce Young? Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson.
Correct.
So you go look at some of these old battles and you realize that the way Nick played everything out is he's going to keep everything pretty much live effect so he can get all out of his guys from the spring, summer, and going into the fall. He's not going to rule a guy out too early, especially nowadays.
Yes.
Where you can lose talent because, okay, you done gave a job to somebody in the spring, not Buddy ready to do.
Correct.
Buddy ain't even trying to sit here and fight no more for a spot.
In this microwave society.
Yeah, exactly. So for Austin Mack, man, I truly think. Now, I didn't get a chance to physically watch the spring game outside of catching the highlights that University of Alabama posted, but I had my brother there. My brother was there, and he was able to give me some live intel throughout the game, and I just heard more upbeat, more positive things from Keelon Russell versus Austin Mack.
Correct.
Not to say Austin Mack went out there and had a bad showing. I think he went out there and he did a great job, but you can tell as the game progressed throughout, his role and his reps started changing.
Correct.
He started off the game.
Correct.
But he didn't finish off the game.
Correct. And I will say that they're doing a great job and making sure that they're keeping both of the guys on their toes, as in the battle's not won.
That's true.
They are making sure that they clearly keep both of them informed of how they're doing, making sure that they are changing up those rep schemes, making sure that both of them has time with the ones, has time with the twos.
Definitely. And
giving them a overall standpoint or overall foundation platform to really build their case to be the starter.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that I think is probably a little bit more unique about Keelon Russell than Austin Mack, I think it's a somewhat of a dual threat aspect that Keelon Russell can possibly bring. Looking at some of the highlights that I seen from the spring game, they were using him a little bit more in their zone scheme.
Definitely.
Ryan Grubb is a big inside, outside zone guy, and you can look that all the way back to his time as the OC at Washington before he went to the league in Seattle. But I saw a lot more of that than I've seen in the last 2 years in his offense, honestly, just because of the type of quarterback that Keelon Russell is.
Yeah.
And also, I think, too, that is just something that could possibly give certain people the edge to Russell. But like I said, Austin Mack still has the edge to me when it comes to understanding the overall playbook, the overall offense, how he's going to do certain things in his scheme that's going to make them successful. So it's definitely going to be something that plays all the way into fall camp. And I think that's good, though, because it's going to actually build the morale for the whole team to understand that every day is important and every day you have to establish yourself and compete.
Now, let me ask you this. Well, Austin Mack being technically year 3 in the board system.
Yep.
Keelon Russell technically only in year... No, Austin Mack is year 3 or 4?
Year 4. Austin Mack only has 1 more year eligibility.
So Keelon Russell technically is only in year 2.
People have to remember that Austin Mack was a redshirt freshman on the last team that Keelon DeBoer coached at Washington.
Gotcha.
He came with Keelon DeBoer and their whole staff in 2024 as a redshirt freshman. So that was his first year.
So if he's been in this, so you made it even better. So if he's been in the college sport for 4 years, and Mr. Keelon has been in there for 2 years, and he's already technically 1A, 1B right now,
and not even a full 2 years because he's really technically finishing up his freshman year. So
the potential for this kid, man, is extremely high. It's almost higher than it was when Nick recruited Bryce.
Yeah, extremely high.
When Nick got Bryce in, man.
And I will say one thing that is also, I would say, interesting about Keelon Russell is his continuous elevation as far as a player and being having those intangibles and intangible things that you need in order to be a sustained quarterback at the college football level.
Yeah.
Keelon Russell actually had a high climb to the Elite 11 when he wasn't even a quarterback mentioned in his high school class.
He wasn't even top 6.
Correct. He was committed to SMU for a while before he hit the scene, and everybody in the country wanted to offer him and give him a possible opportunity to come lead their team in the future. So his sustainability as far as his continuous rise is something that's very interesting to me, because now you're at the college football level. Can he continue to do that even going through this type of, I would say it's supposed to be a lopsided quarterback battle when you say it.
Supposed to.
This is year 4 for Austin Mack. And then we got 2 years, not even 2 years, but going on year 2 for Keelon Russell. So I think that's dynamic in itself. But like I said, it's ultimately going to benefit the team because everybody has that compete every rep mentality. Everybody understands the sense of urgency that they have to have in order to even start. So,
I agree. So enough about the quarterbacks for now. We'll have plenty more segments to talk about the quarterbacks as we go on through the the rest of the spring and then the summer and then going into fall camp. So next, obviously, let's talk about this projected depth chart. Let's talk about this offense. Number one, man. Well, my biggest problem last year, and I'm sure one of your biggest problems last year, was this offensive line.
Being a non-biased guy that loves football and loves the toughness factor that it comes with to play offensive, defensive line. Yes, I would definitely say that was, something that stuck out as far as just not being traditional when you talk about Alabama.
And we got some key guys. We got some key guys in the portal, man. Last year we lost a good bit of guys too. That's a conversation that we can have too. Briefly, it's pretty much that we had a lot of guys that left us after the season. Some of them went on to Ohio State. Some of them went on to Texas A&M. A couple of them went to different universities, other blue bloods. But my notion is, man, look, guys, if you're gonna leave, respectfully, kudos to you guys. We support you guys. You guys were Bama, Bama true and true, for a few years that you were there. So we definitely support you guys. But if you guys are leaving, please don't put no salt on the brand. Please don't put no salt on the program. Just because if it didn't work out for you, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean that it still might not be the program that it is, which is the University of Alabama. So with that said, I want to hit some of these D-line guys first. I'm gonna let you kind of highlight that a little bit, but I want to talk about Terrence. Is it Terrence Green? D-tackle?
Yes.
Who's the guy from USC again? What's his name?
Devin Tompkins.
Man, those are probably the two guys that I've heard the most about this spring from a defensive line standpoint. Those two guys. Anybody that you kind of heard about that kind of stood out to you?
Personally, when I went up there, I did my best to try to get some intel with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach, for those that don't know, Freddie Roach was one of my coaches when I first started playing football at the University of South Alabama. He was actually a special team coordinator and the D-line coach at that time. But as far as those guys, you can tell that they are actually trying to go a different route when it comes to filling those needs on the defensive line, but also just from a recruiting standpoint of how they're recruiting certain guys and the personnel that they go after the most. Actually trying to get a little longer, taller, lengthier along the defensive line, just to, I would say increase the versatility standpoint, because with longer guys in the trenches, you can go from 4 and 3 down fronts with the ease as far as making sure that they fit the mold or the scheme that you're actually trying to run or implement.
So what you just said, right, not to cut you off, but what you just said right there. So Freddie Roach obviously coached you, well, not technically coached you, but he was one of the coaches at the University of South Alabama when you got there freshman year?
Correct.
Who was your defensive coordinator?
My freshman year, my defensive coordinator was Travis Pearson. But I was recruited by Kevin Shear, who is a Saban disciple. So if you can all kind of imagine that, some of the same terminology, the same system that Shear ran or even Saban ran, I got a chance to, be a part of it.
What was Kane Womack to you when he was at the University of South Alabama?
So Kane Womack, great guy. I love him, support him. Can't wait to talk and chop it up with him every time I see him. Kane Womack was my defensive coordinator at the University of South Alabama. He was the youngest defensive coordinator in college football at that time as well. And I actually got my first chance to start the same year that I got captain of the football team in 2017 in Kane Womack's system. So some of the things that he's doing at this level, I've actually been a part of as well and got a chance to witness it actually evolve and take off. Because even after he left South Alabama, he went and became one of the top 25 defensive coordinators statistically at the University of Indiana.
That's right.
And he's continued to elevate and build his platform as well. So proud of him, proud of the job he's been able to do.
And all this is adding up. All these questions that I'm asking him is adding up because he knows how Kane wants to recruit.
Yeah.
He knows the body types that he likes that he likes to play in the positions that leads his unit.
Correct.
What we're getting at is he likes lengthy corners, lengthy linemen, lengthy everything.
Yes. I think, but honestly, and he's not alone. When you talk about college football, I can remember, then this is a quick story. I can remember being recruited and ultimately being turned down as soon as I walked up and shook certain people's hands, certain coaches' hands. You know why? Because at the time, probably was about 5'8", 5'9". Yes, my arms are long, swinging right here past my knees, but you play defensive back and you're 5'8", 5'9". If you're not playing safety, it's kind of hard for people to even recruit you at corner, especially nowadays. Now, I'm not knocking any young, short corner, short defensive backs. You know why? Because I was one. I actually love those guys because you actually have an extra chip on your shoulder and you can impact the game in a different way. I.e. Tyrann Mathieu, i.e. D'Angelo Pons that was at the University of Indiana and just had a great run. Right. It can be done. But the prototype is guys over 6 foot, guys with long arms, guys that can run and play the ball in the deep part of the field. And I just took straight out of Coach Saban's book right there with that one. But everybody is recruiting that way. Everybody is trying to pursue that type of personnel, especially at these Power 5 big universities, institutions.
That's right.
But not to veer off from your question, when you talk about the D-line that Alabama has now versus what they've had in the past, I think you can tell that he was trying to change that from a standpoint of it was a lot of guys around the same size that they were rotating.
A lot of tweeners.
Yeah, it's a lot of tweeners, guys that are about 6'2", 6'3", versus him bringing in 2 to 3 guys that are over 6'4",
6'5",
6'5" guys that can play multiple positions along the defensive front. Not just the zero, not just 4-eye, not just a shade. No, giving people the opportunity to expand their versatility, but also fit within the system that Kane wants to run.
And ultimately, that's what I was really getting at. You know, it's never a knock on college athletes, especially the way the sport is nowadays. There's so many opportunities out there, man. So guys, hey, go for these opportunities, man. If they're presented to you, hey, go for them. But you know, I was just saying all of this to say that pretty much, you know, just like the board, when the board first got there, it was still Saban's roster.
Yes.
So yes, it's his personnel. Yes, from a fan perspective, everybody thinks that his personnel is supposed to work with Saban's players because of Saban's success with his players.
Correct.
But that's not always true. Correct. Because a lot of these guys that we had, they didn't fit the same body style. They didn't fit the same movability that the board wants. From a big man perspective, even from a running back perspective. I would definitely say that their running backs was a little bit more versatile versus the running backs we had back in Bama. You know, our running backs typically, hey, we ground and pound. Yeah. We running the ball, give him 300 carries, and let's hope and pray he get roughly, I'll say, about 1,500 yards. But we hadn't had that in a few years, man. And I think now with us kind of, you know, honing back in on some of the schemes and some of the player personnels that fit the board style and system, I think this is going to help us, you know, tremendously going forward this year. Anybody on the offense you kind of want to highlight, man, that, you know, you kind of heard about any guys in the spring that kind of popped?
One guy that I definitely want to talk about, especially on the offensive line, I won't go total offense, because if you talk about total offense, the whole thing is centered around the quarterback battle and I would say, the unknown depth at receiver.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, I'll touch on that a little bit later. But offensive line-wise, they've been raving about Jackson Lloyd. Jackson Lloyd, well, former, I don't know if he was a 4 or 5 star kid, but I
think he was a 4-star if I'm not mistaken.
But former multiple sport athlete. Like he played 4 or 5 sports in high school, all the way up from since he was a kid. Born athlete, played basketball, baseball, track. He did it all, and it's kind of showing because his ability to actually withstand the pass rush. He's doing well in one-on-ones. Yeah. He was actually one of the first guys that Ryan Grubb came out and said, like, that's going to be our left tackle.
That might have been the only guy.
That might be the only guy that is kind of secure. Now, obviously, we know Michael Carroll's going to play.
Yeah,
I think that everybody knows that. But Ryan Grubb definitely came out early in the spring and said Jackson Lloyd is our left tackle. So that means a lot to, get that kudos and nod from your OC because that's exactly what it's going to be. Yeah. I do like the fact that they have some guys that they bought in to suffice or supplement the guys that left. Yeah. I think the James kid and the kid Brooks, they both transferred from other SEC schools. Mississippi State and Texas, correct. So they both transferred from other SEC schools. So them having the experience of understanding what it's going to take to play in the SEC, I think that is something that they'll definitely try to dive into. Okay. But it always makes the room better because it's just going to enhance the competition. I think, especially me being a current football coach, you always want to find a way to enhance or increase the value of your room and your players. Gotcha. And one way to do that is to make sure that you always instill competition factors in their daily routines, their daily regimen and meetings, but also on the field so that they can always continuously critique and evaluate themselves. Gotcha. I think that's the only way to actually get the full potential out of people as well. So that's definitely something that translates not only just to the field, but that's something that people can use in their daily life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we're going to hop into some rapid fire questions I got for you real quick, man. I got 3 questions for you. I want you to just, give me your honest, give me your truthful answer. So the first one we got, man. So what was the hardest adjustment that you had to make going from high school football to Division I football?
And I think, this may be cliche, but it's the truth. The hardest adjustment is always going to be speed. The hardest adjustment is always going to be speed and then your mental capability or capacity. So being able to learn more, I think those are definitely the 1 and 2 things that if you didn't experience one, you definitely experienced the other. Yeah. Like speed was definitely mine because I was coming in, I was about 200 pounds, about 5'9", and I was playing the nickel position. Now, for those that have played the nickel position in I would say any Saban tree or any Saban disciple, that position is definitely predicated for somebody that can play multiple positions on the defense. So a corner, a linebacker, and a safety all in one body. So playing that position early and then coming to the college level, freshman, man, Coach Pierce used to say this one thing, man, you pissing down your socks. Your socks yellow. You're like, he used to always consistently say it, but you don't know that until you get into the fire and the bullets start coming fire at you. But end of the day, that definitely was those hardest adjustments. Speed and mental capacity. Okay.
Did you have a welcome to college moment?
Welcome to college moment? Yeah. I got tore up that first fall camp. I got tore up. I'm talking about, and I can remember these guys' names, and shout out to them. Jeremy Jones, Tony Ray Parnell. It's a lot of different guys I was able to go against early in my career, man, but those 2 for sure, I can definitely remember, getting baptized, getting one-handed, whip route, 7 route, it don't matter. I just wasn't ready.
I feel you. Hey, so what's the most underrated position? Let's switch it up. What's the most underrated position to you in football?
Shout out to the O-line. Shout out to the O-lineman. I gotta give it to the O-lineman. I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of people love to hang their hat on quarterback being the toughest position to play in football. Yeah. Rightfully so. The argument that exists there, I wouldn't have much to combat people that have played the position. Much it wouldn't have much ammunition to go back and forth. So I definitely agree there. But if people like to say the second hardest position, I always have a fluent argument with O-lineman about whether it is O-line or DB.
Gotcha.
I always have that argument, and they have fluent reasoning as to why offensive line is so hard to play.
Yeah.
But I know from a standpoint of the speed of the game, the toughness factor, the mental toughness, physical toughness that they have to go through every play. I definitely had to say O-line.
Okay.
Definitely had to say O-line.
I played a little O-line back in my day. I was on the sides though.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I believe it. Everything you just said, I believe. Cause I was 195, 200. They had me trying to play center.
Now look, that's good high school football there, cause it's a lot of undersized O-line and D-line when you playing high school football, man. Everybody don't have those, ham hocks and trees
I'll tell you.
amongst that line like usual. So I definitely agree. I agree, man.
And last question, man, for this rapid fire question segment, man. What has been the proudest moment so far in your coaching career?
The proudest moment so far. I definitely have a lot. I probably had to categorize that in a 1, 2, and 3 moment.
Okay.
But just for this one question, and this is something that we can expand on another episode, but just for this one question, my proudest moment is being able to watch those kids that I've coached grow up and flourish in whatever avenue that they choose to partake in. I've had the pleasure of having guys that went on to play college football. I can shout a few of them out right now. Jay Jackson, receiver at Troy. Dorian Jackson, safety at Tulane. I've been able to watch a couple of more guys that I've been able to coach. Laquan Robinson playing safety at Southern Miss. And the list just goes on. Those are just a few of the guys, but seeing them flourish and grow and being able to take some of the things that I was able to teach them, some of the things that some of my co-coaches or co-workers were able to teach them, and just, be productive men in their lives. So that's definitely the most gratifying feeling from doing what I do, for sure.
Okay. Well, now, hey, it's time for the Bugs Breakdown. This is probably one of my most favorite segments of the show. My guy here, man, he's gonna have a segment each episode that pretty much gets to do a little deep dive, some more deep dive on a couple more topics, man, that we're gonna let him just elaborate on a little further in depth. Today's though, I think Bug is what you want to talk about today, Bugs. You want to talk about the improved D-line personnel, or you want to talk about the O-line coaching change? Which one do you want to highlight for your segment today?
Today, I'm gonna touch on both. I am a coach, so one thing that I'll never do is discredit or take away from the job that a former coach has done.
Gotcha.
All right, so I definitely want to touch on both, and I'll start with the O-line coaching change. The way that I will approach this at all times is to make sure people understand. I'm talking about what the next coach brings. I'm not talking about what Kapovic or what Wofford, any of those guys did in the past, because at the end of the day, they're still good coaches as well. Yeah. They both still gonna have great high-profile careers. I think Wofford's at LSU. I think he's there at LSU.
I think
they're
so.
O-line coach right now. So,
so.
It's evident that they're still great coaches.
Yeah.
Me being able to sit with Coach Clem for maybe about 30 to 45 minutes at the clinic session this past early in this April. Actually, their clinic was the same time as A-Day.
Okay.
So they had their clinic the night before and then A-Day the next day. So being able to sit and listen to him, I definitely learned quite a bit about playing offensive line, just from a drill standpoint. Me trying to continuously evolve and elevate my mind and my mental aspect of the game for whatever opportunities may present themselves for myself down the line. But he definitely has a wealth of knowledge. He is from California. He coached in the NFL and collegiately. He's actually played in the NFL as well. Super Bowl champion. Played with Bill Belichick. Won 3 Super Bowls with Tom Brady. So he definitely, his resume speaks for itself. But then to actually see the clips that he's been able to pull from to give you different insight on what it takes to play offensive line. I think that right there in itself is something that can't be duplicated, because I'm a former player, so I'm always going to push the envelope on former players being coaches. I think that is something that is unique in itself, because not only does it but increase your relatability, but it helps in recruiting. Yeah. It helps in sustaining a relationship with your players, because they know that you've already been in the same shoes that they are in and possibly want to go. So I think Clem definitely has a relatable factor to him. He's definitely down to earth. He's had stints at Oregon, the Steelers. He's also had stints at UCLA, SMU, and I can't remember. There's one more college stint I remember him expounding on and showing us clips from. But his level of knowledge, I think, is definitely something that they will definitely continue to expound and benefit from. He talked a lot about his former playing days and the reasons as to why he tries to make sure he shows them as much film as possible of different techniques, different drills, things that they can do in their own downtime, and also being able to mimic that and show them those same things as well. I think that just brings another level of teaching to the room that can possibly help those guys elevate and grow from another standpoint. So that's my breakdown with the offensive line. I do expect them to be improved. I do expect them to be better from a standpoint of just being technically sound, being more, I would say, schematically friendly as well. When you talk about Clem, when you talk about playing and coaching at both levels, you've seen everything. Yeah. So being able to recant knowledge from just things that you've seen and done, that's just second to none, honestly.
Gotcha.
All right. D-line, Alabama did have a lot of defensive linemen hit the portal. Honestly, I had to pull it up right here. I don't want to expand on that, but they had about 4 that hit the portal and then 2 that left because of eligibility in the NFL draft. The ones that did stay, E. Hill, Beeman, Fager, Simmons, Steve, I can't pronounce his last name, and
Big 25, that what I say.
Big 25 and Henry. Those were the guys that stayed, and along with the 3 freshmen that they're bringing in, which is and also the transfer portal, but 3 freshmen: Jam Matthews, Corey Howard, and Nolan Wilson. I think the D-line is definitely going to be what they're looking for. Yeah. I also feel like on the defensive line, one thing that is imperative for any defensive line is just having the depth, the bodies to be able to rotate and keep fresh. On both sides of the ball, you win in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line.
That's true. So
having 10 guys ready to go on your offensive line, and having, if you're going to play a 4-down front, 8 guys, 9 guys ready to go on your defensive line, it increases your chances of winning, and it increases your chances of establishing depth that's going to be able to help you all the way through the season. Because at the end of the day, everybody knows football is a very, very violent game. Very violent game, and it's meant injuries are going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get banged up. It's going to be a traumatic injury in this every year. That's something that we just can't duck and dodge when it comes to the game of football. Yeah. But you can make sure that you continuously are bringing in guys that you think are ready to play and divvying those reps, making sure everybody's getting enough reps in practice, in preseason play, so summer and spring, to make sure that they're ready to go when the time comes for the bullets to fly come fall. So I think that's definitely a great haul as far as the guys that they brought in, the 3 freshmen and the 4 transfers, to add to the 5 to 6 guys that stayed. I expect the defensive line to definitely be improved as well.
Okay. Well, man, great episode 1, man. This is our first time back, man. We hadn't been doing this thing, man. We kind of let ourselves down last year, man. But hey, we're gonna turn this thing up this year. We revamped a few things, we rebranded a few things, we added some things we added some people, and we added some things to the team. So we're gonna come back better than ever this year, guys. And Any closing takeaways, Bugs? You got anything you want to say?
One closing takeaway that I like to mention, I do think that Alabama would definitely have a very, very fluent depth field defensive back room. I also think that there are some guys in the receiver room that are going to have great years or have, I would say, trending years this year as well that people might watch out for. Offensively, Derek Meadows. Everybody's going to talk about Ryan Williams, and they should. Mm-hmm. I think he's definitely going to do great. I coached against him as a high school coach, and I tell you, box office. All right, what Stephen A. say, box office. All right, Ryan Williams definitely one of the guys that people are going to highlight, but I'm looking at guys like Rico Scott, Derek Meadows, the transfer, Noah Rogers.
I hate he got hurt, man.
Hopefully that injury isn't something that extends too far into the season.
Yeah.
But Noah Rogers, Lottie Brooks.
Yeah.
And then the freshman Cedaric Morgan, who had a great showing in the A-Day game.
Great spring too, I heard.
Yeah, correct.
Great spring too.
I think that's definitely an underrated room when it comes to people not talking as much about. Okay. And then defensive back wise, I'm a fan of. I'm just a dire fan of what they're doing defensive back wise, because cross training has been something that Coach Womack has done since he's been coaching. I mean, I can remember playing for him, and he would make us take reps at safety or make us, do one-on-one sometime at corner just so we could get the feel of doing other things from a defensive back standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I see it paying dividends for him now at the University of Alabama, because if you can remember last year, Red Morgan, he was playing both last year, corner and nickel. Yeah. Now he's probably going to be the starting nickel. You can see it in Drake Kirkpatrick. Kirkpatrick was playing corner, a little bit corner early, but obviously that didn't last long because I can be the first to tell you, Coach Womack don't want nobody out there short at corner.
Hey, look,
and this just coming from experience as a player, but. Kirkpatrick definitely had cross train. He trained safety, nickel, and corner when he first got to the University of Alabama. Okay. And now he's definitely going to be somebody that is in the mix to be able to make plays. Yeah. I think definitely they have their starters, but having 4 guys that's ready to play, that's going to pay dividends down the line.
I believe that. Only thing I got to say closing takeaway wise is O-line, D-line. Only thing I need to see from y'all this year, this coming from a fan here now. This is the fan talking.
This a real fan. Every respect, a real fan, real coach. Remember that.
Physicality, I gotta see it this year, Bama. On that O-line and on that D-line. D-line, I just want to see y'all strike somebody. That's it. I want to see that offensive line that y'all going against, the opposing offensive line. I need to see them move back 2 yards every single snap. No more of that. You stuck at the line, you looking over shoulder, trying to figure out what gap you. Bro, I'm tired of that respectfully. So I just want to see some physicality this year. That's the only closing takeaway I got for y'all today. So hey, that's a wrap for this episode, guys. This is episode 1 season 2 of the B.A.M. Media Sports Podcast. Thank you to all of our listeners and viewers. Please go click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you learned something today, if you like what you watched today, hey, just go subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back next week.
B.A.M. gang, man.